Hey class 9 student, this is Neha Singh and we are back with the last topic, with the last part of this video, the is matter around us pure. In our previous video we have learnt about to separate a mixture of different solids and the solid and the liquid. Now we are come to the point to separate the mixture of two liquids. So the liquids, they could be separated by their physical properties by knowing their boiling point. If their boiling point is different from each other, we can encounter that process, or by using a separating funnel. Means if the solutions, if the two liquids are miscible in each other, miscible will mix, means if they are completely mixed with each other forming a solution or another mixture, then we have to separate them with the help of their boiling point. By finding their boiling point, and we can separate them easily. But if they are not mixed with each other, these types of liquids are known as the immiscible liquids, and these immiscible liquids can be separated out by using a separating funnel. Let's learn about these. Firstly, distillation process. If the two liquids are having like water and the alcohol, right? If they are having two mix with each other completely, they are miscible liquids, but their boiling point is completely different from each other, right? So to separate them, we can use the distillation process. In this simple distillation process, what we need to do, we need to apply some of the heat from the bottom, and when that boiling point of one of the substance will reach at a particular and will reach early, they'll form the vapors and they will move into the condenser where they can condensed in the form of liquid. We can separate it out, and after separating one, we can again provide the more temperature so that it can reach the next one boiling point, and we can separate it down. So the solutions which are having the mixture which are having the 25 degrees Celsius difference in their boiling point, we can use the simple distillation process for that. But if the boiling point is much lower than that, then we need to use another technique that is similar to the distillation, but a fractional distillation. Why? In this, the whole thing is similar to that of the distillation here, but one difference is there. We use a fractionating column, fractional distillation column. In this column, there are different types of zones of the heat will made. The lower, there will be a highest heat zone, then lowest, then lowest. If we'll mix the two liquid mixtures, then what will happen, they will provide different zones. So according to that zone, what will happen, the one mixture that will go up by getting the heat, they'll move further, they will here get the lower temperature as compared to the lower one, then again they'll get the lower temperature. So when their temperature, the boiling point temperature is reached at the last point, they can separate out in the condenser and can get it as a liquid by condensing the vapors. Similarly, the another mixture will rise up according to their boiling point. When they'll reach the boiling point, they'll move out of this fractionating column into the condenser, and then we'll get the liquid of another substance according to the boiling points, whose boiling points is much lower than, the difference in their boiling points must be lower than the 25 degree Celsius. So we can get the petroleum products by this process because their temperature, the boiling point is different. We can easily separate them out with the fractional distillation column. Now the separating funnel is used to separate the two liquids which are immiscible in nature, which do not get mixed with each other, for example oil and water. So in this, the heavier substance will be at the bottom, and the lowest density liquid will be at the highest the top position. So we'll separate them, we can by using this funnel. In this funnel there is a stop cock. When we open it, the water could be collected in the container, and when this layer will reach the end point, we'll stop that again, and the another layer of the kerosene oil, we can get it in the beaker itself. So we can separate them, the liquids which are not miscible in each other. So we have learnt about how to separate the different kinds of mixture by the different techniques, and these techniques could be used to separate the gases also. Like air, if we want to separate the nitrogen, oxygen and the argon from each other, what we need to do, we need to firstly compress the air to make it a liquid air, and in this liquid air we'll do the fractionating distillation so that it will boil up first. The one which is having the lowest boiling point, it will separate out first, that is nitrogen, then argon, then oxygen. These gases you will get in the liquid form. Let's see it how. This is a full composition, how we'll separate the components of air. Firstly, we'll filter the air so that the dust particles, water vapor, the impurities will separate it out from the filter. The air inlet, then we'll apply a pressure over it. Under a high pressure, the molecules will come close together and they will start liquefying, and we'll provide them into a container where they can get the lower temperature and expand, and then pressure. Again, this process will be repeated 2-3 times so that it will get condensed or it will get liquefied very easily. After the cold compressed air, they will be moving to the column where they are being separated out. Carbon dioxide can be separated out as a dry ice by applying a pressure and by reducing the pressure or the atmosphere temperature accordingly. Then the mixture that is left, then we'll apply it to the fractional distillation column, and by providing the heat, by applying its boiling point, we can separate them in the liquid form, and finally we'll get the liquid oxygen at the end. Similarly, to separate the components to get a pure water, we need to apply the different techniques to separate them. So because of the water, they may get the many impurities present in it. For example, the water purification system at big cities, they need different techniques. They apply the different techniques to complete removal of the impurities from the water. So what they have done, they collected the water from the reservoir or from the different houses, and they will allow it. Firstly, they'll filter it by using the screen bars, where they can separate the heavy objects like the plastic cans, the gravels, the stones, the big stones, right? And after that, the water that is being allowed to the sedimentation tank. Here we left the water for undisturbed for some time so that the heavy particles could settle down at the bottom, and we can separate the water from here. After the sedimentation tank, after removing the heavy particles, some of the suspended impurities could remain in it. So then we'll load it to the next tank. We call it a loading tank. Here we make the light impurities, light suspending particles heavy by adding alum in it, that is a fitkari. It stick to the light particles and make it heavy and settle down again at the bottom. Then these are being allowed to the another tank, that is a filtration tank, which is having the different kinds of gravel, kind of soil particles, a layer of soils of different particles, heavy, small, large, and through which the other impurities could be settled down. They could stick to these different gravel. Plus we'll add here the aerobic bacteria also, so that the bacteria could digest all the organic matter present in the water, and they will adjust all of the impurities inside them. So after the aerobic bacteria, we'll filter it and we'll move it to the chlorination tank. Here the bacteria that is being added is being killed by the chlorine, and we'll get a pure water, and this pure water could get our home. So by applying many of the process all together, we can separate our different mixtures according to their physical properties. So we have learned so far to get how can we get the pure air or liquid oxygen, or how can we get a pure water, as it is mixed with the different impurities that will be harmful for us. Now we have learned so far about mixtures, compounds, but what are these? They are somewhat looking similar, but they are slightly differ from each other. In mixtures, we can mix and form a mixture without any ratio. The composition would be very variable, but in compound, the composition is fixed. In compound, a new substance is always formed by adding the elements together, but in mixture, just a mixture is formed. No new compound is formed. No chemical composition is changed. In mixture, the particles will have the constituent properties, and the constituent substance have their specific properties. Like in lemonade, if you drink the lemonade, you will feel the sugar taste, you will feel the salt taste, you will feel the lemon taste. But in compound, a totally different product will be formed with the complete different properties. The constituents can be separated by physical methods, the commixtures, but in compounds, we need an electrochemical or a chemical method to separate them out. And the matter that we have studied already, they also show changes like chemical and physical changes, and let's have a quick discussion about it. In a physical change, only the physical properties got altered, right, like density, volume, right? But in a chemical change, the chemical composition of a product could change easily. In this, the new product has been formed every time, but in physical property, no new substance will be formed. They could be temporary change physical, and they could be permanent sometimes, but they are rare cases. But the chemical changes, they are generally permanent in nature, right? And the energy that is always the chemical change always accompanied by the absorption or the evolution of energy, but the very minimum amount of or no energy is released in the form of heat, light, or sound in a physical change. The original form of substance can be regained as these are temporary, but the chemical change, the original substance cannot be obtained by simple physical method. We need some special method, right, to obtain them. And the physical change is reversible and the chemical change is reversible. I hope you get all the related points, you get all the knowledge related to the matter in our video, and we'll meet you again with the next topic of the class 9th. Till then, thank you everyone and keep learning.